So please, I'm quite happy to take any questions. And don't feel free to have to ask the questions, but I'm certainly would love to hear them if you do have them.
I have one. When you were starting this up, when you were like getting more, I guess, educated and more serious on said topic, did you think that you were going to end up running your own project? And I guess more directly, my question would be, how did the Orangutan project start for you?
The question is, how did the Orangutan project start for me? But one thing I just want to point out, one of the key principles is, and I'll give you an example of why sometimes conservation goes astray or doesn't reach the goal. Well, one way would be, they'll say, education is a key to conservation, or science is a key to conservation, or community development is a key to conservation, rangers is a key to conservation. So they do one of those things, yeah? And they apply that religiously to every situation. Yeah? So it's like going to a doctor, yeah? And every time you go to a doctor with a different element, it gives you the same prescription, the same dosage. So after a while you realise you've got quack, right? The second issue is that a lot of organisations will go, this is my little patch, does that make sense? This little rainforest or whatnot, yeah, and I'm going to fight for this. And then not look at the big picture, and then basically in a competition with the guy down the road fighting for funds, you know, and backstabbing each other, you know? And so one of the key things that the Orangutan Project does is to say, we take up the big picture and the big strategy and work with all bona fide organisations. In fact, my goal is for the Orangutan Project to close down. Does that make sense? Because having an organisation to save orangutans is the affirmative to the world I want to create. I want to create a world where it's not necessary. Yeah? Yeah. And so the Orangutan Project doesn't mean anything. It's just a tool. Does it make sense? To achieve the aim, yeah, and then you go get rid of it, yeah. And so the answer to your question is the reason why I started it is as an effective way of solving a problem, yeah. But it's the Orangutan Project, like me, is anything you want me to be. Does it make sense? It's what is necessary to happen. Am I giving talks? Am I giving tours? Am I writing books? Am I in the jungle? It doesn't. Whatever is most effective, yeah? Because the issue is the organisation and myself have to be sublimated to the cause. And so the reason is, under those principles, is to do what we can to solve the problem for the orangutans, but also for us. Yes, we cooperate with the local government. There's three levels of government in Indonesia. There's probably more when you're talking about the village level. Then you've got your party, which is your local government, your regional government, and national government. And it's complex because the laws, doesn't make sense, and the permitting and the maps all change from the different levels.
Are they corrupt?
Yes, they're corrupt. But it's...
Why do you spell it out that way?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. But when we talk about corruption, in a sense, is who's ultimately bribing them. And I know, for example, we're fighting a Canadian mining company from Toronto with trying to influence. So what they do, they influence the government officials, right, through bribes, to issue permits to destroy the forest against Indonesian law, because it's all illegal. The destruction of the rainforest is all against Indonesian law. The orangutan's been protected since 1956, and therefore its habitat. You're not allowed to destroy a forest which has a tree of endangered species, and orangutans make nests. You're not allowed to destroy peat swamp. You're not allowed to destroy high conservation valley forest, which includes any forest that contains endangered species. I can keep going on. it's all illegal. Does that make sense? And so, why I don't mention corruption is it's not that it's not corrupt, but we get the idea that corruption belongs to these people in Indonesia. They're corrupt, right? We are just as corrupt. Yeah. Yeah, you know, so that's why I don't mention it, because it gives the wrong framework. But the answer to your question, yes, you have to cooperate with all the different levels of governments for support for the community rangers, getting the permits, and also running the release sites. Yeah, and of course, yes, even Indonesians will accept that, you know, corruption is a problem within government, yeah? And there's lots of reasons for that, and as I suggest, we're partly behind that. But that doesn't dismiss, like in anything, there's some actually wonderful people in the Indonesian government who actually care and are working hard, even against their own interests, to make a difference for their country, yeah? And so, yeah. So,
There's no disrespect. There's no disrespect, just let people know that there is different interests over there, and they don't have the same interest in here. We're trying to make that.
Of course, and we touched on neo-colonialism and the Latin effect of colonialism. So,
Excuse me?
that makes sense. Instead of government.
Very fast, and it's not